Okay, gang, this is Rex, W1REX, and we're going to, I'm going to build the second band module. Well, we're going to build half of it, because this is going to break this one into two pieces. One of them doing all the connector and the capacitors, and the other one winding these toroids. That's a story in itself. That's the one significant difference between the new band module version of the Rockmite and the old Rockmite. The old Rockmite was, the original, was designed using axial chokes, which are a compromise, because you can only get certain values of, standard values of axial chokes and capacitors. So the process of doing that compromised the output of the transistor. So yeah, you got 500 or 600 milliwatts out of it, but if you actually go the route of really tweaking the capacitors and a little bit better filter with more capacitors, more elements, and wind the toroids and change it, the output from a capacitor coupled to a transformer coupled to the transistor, you get much more power. In the case of the last 40 meter I built and tested the other day, I got 1.2 watts out of the standard Rockmite 40 meter kit. So so that's the advantage. You get more output power if you make the better filter. So when I made the new version, rather than, you can use it, you can go and make the, what I'm going to call the cheesy version, because I did leave the L1 and C14, I think it is. Those are still in the circuit. So if you put those two values in, you don't have to wind the transformer, and you can still use the better filter, but you don't get that optimum coupling between the transistor and the filter. So if you don't want to wind the toroids, you can do that, because you can use the standard values and get away with it. Anyway, so again, in the case of the filter, I'm looking at the power and efficiency modification sheets that we have on the Rockmite for all the bands, because that's what I've done. I've taken that power and efficiency modification and made it standard on the new Rockmite. So if you look at this document, there is the filter that we're going to use. So there's a 330 picofarad, a 47 picofarad, a 56 and a 560, a 120 and a 240, and then there's your two chokes. So I'm building it per that sheet. So I have my values. Here's 330, here's 47, here's 560 and 56, here's 120 and 240. So I can put those all down on this filter, and I've laid it out exactly the same way, the parts. So I can put in C15, C16, C17 is now 17 and 17 prime, because two capacitors to make up that better value. We didn't really do that in the original Rockmite. It was standard value of capacitor and choke. So by using this the P&E circuit, you get a better filter. So there's, you see, I've gone to the sheet, pulled out the right parts, put them in the order in which I got to solder them, and there are the capacitors for the filter. So now I just got to solder it. I suppose I can do that. It's kind of wiggly. So I'll see about oh, I can't really do that. I thought I could stretch my another thing I've done is I'll try this. I'm just using what I've got rather than go out and I've got a nice vise over here. I'm trying to avoid using it to build it because most of you don't have a vise. So I'm going to put this in this pile of shavings. I'm going to use one side of it to clean my tip because that sort of helps keep it kind of level and non-wiggly because it's a nice uneven surface. You would call that, I think you call that kind of like a fractal vise, I guess you could call it. Okay, let's see, where's the other one? Over here. Over here. And I got one here. One here. One here. Just move right along. I got one here. And I think that's my final lead. So we can take it out of there very carefully and I can look at it. I missed these two right in here, so I'll put it back down. Oops, I can't see. Okay, so let's see. I'm looking at. I don't like that one. I don't like this one right here. I think I need just a little bit more solder on that guy. Same with that one. Put a little bit more solder on this one right here. Okay, I like everybody else. So, I'll cut those off. Get that out of the way. So, there are my capacitors and my filter. I'm going to do those a little bit later. Counts right. So now I'm going to go after the connector. And this one is 2 pins and 2 pins. This one uses a right angle connector because the board's going to stand straight up. So I'm going to get my super duper guillotine cutters. I'm going to cut 2 off of one end and 2 off the other end. Carefully. Okay. And put the other ones aside. I got a spare. Now these come off the front and go down. Oops. Oh. I got caught in my Band-Aid. Yeah. We're going to take that Band-Aid off. That's getting in the... Okay, I'll try this again. So I can lay those down. Again, whoops. Now see, that's they want to come out if that thing tilts back. So I'm going to hold it down with one finger while I solder again. Yeah, I can see now that that's not quite. It's just barely poking through. So I'm going to have to do the same thing I did on the other one. I'm going to have to reseat them. Up. Come on. Okay. Holding it down. I'm doing the outside pin close to the edge of the board. And the reason for that is because if you flip it over, the one I did is on the inside, so I can put my finger over on this side and push down on it, and I'm away from that side. And okay, I like that. Looks good. I'll go over here and see this one is standing up in the air. So I'm going to go and attack it and hold it from the inside. I'm going to push down with my fingernail as I reheat this guy. Gotta hold it just there we go. So when I reheat it, it seats right in there, and it didn't burn myself. Okay, so now I hit the other pins. 1, 2, 3. Now that those are soldered in, I can just redo that one just a tad, just to make it sure it's a good connection. So I go down and do the other end. 1, 2, and 3, and then I'll do that first one over again. So there's our band module, except for 2 toroids. So we got to do those next. That one I don't like. Doggone it. She moved up on me. See, that's on a cock down just a little bit. It's not square. This one here is nice square to the board. This one is cocked down. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of rework on it. I'm going to very quickly move around to all 4 and see if I can't get that. I gotta get the back ones I gotta insert them a little bit, but I can see that capacitor's in my way. That's what's holding me up. I'm gonna bend it down so I can push on that. I'm gonna push on that end right there as I'm heating it up. I felt a little movement there. No, not enough. It's not square. I don't like it. So, what's to do? Okay, I'm gonna go get the connector for that. I'm gonna use that as a lever. I'm gonna get another connector for the other side. So now, let's see if I can make that thing. You see that's up in the air, so I'm going to see if I can't. I'm pushing down that connector now, so both of them are flat on the table. And when I pull that out now, trick is to do it right the first time, then you don't have to fool around and do that. And I'm looking down that connector and they're nice and square now. Okay, so when it plugs in, it's nice and straight up and down, pretty square. Okay, I like that. Okay, so that is the second band module, except for the 2 toroids. I'm going to do a video on that next, and that's going to take a little bit different setup because I got to get close to the winding device. What I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce one of my tools. I mean, you can wind these T30s by hand. So there's the T30s, and you can pick them up, and you can wind that by hand, but I don't like it, which is why I have this little guy right here. This is a toroid winding tool. And what you can do is you can split it apart. See, it's got a T30 and a T25 on this particular one, so I can put that toroid in there and clamp it in. Come on, come on. Clamp, clamp, clamp. There it is. Okay, so now it's clamped. I'll set that one aside. So what I can do is I can now put this in a vise, which will hold it, and then I can use two hands to wind that thing. So we're going to do that next. So that's it for this video.